Hi, my name is Raymond MAASKE, author, entrepreneur, trainer, and pastor. And this week is more of a reflective week in the interview that I had with my friend Clifton, who the year I was born was serving overseas in the Vietnam War. And I had him reflect on what he learned about life and the meaning and the significance and some takeaway lessons that I hope you can be inspired by, can be moved by, but never the same. Hi there, my name is Raymond MAASKE, author, entrepreneur, trainer, and pastor. And today I've got a live podcast with a friend that I met a few weeks ago, and we're going to learn more about Clifton and what he's about. But this podcast is about living life like you stole it, based on the book that was written about that life is a gift that all of us have received, and that we're to live it, love it, and enjoy as much of life as we can. And these podcasts are about people doing just that. So I'm going to turn this over and to start asking some questions and get to know our guest, Clifton, a little bit better. Good morning, Cliff. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Raymond.
Tell me a little bit more about you. We met down in San Francisco about a month ago at the Brendan Burchard Experts Academy.
Right.
And you're sitting at the end of the row, and we did a breakaway little meetup, and I found out a little bit about you. You're fairly optimistic, you're positive, you're fairly healthy, and you're almost, 50 years old?
No, I'm 71.
71 years old, and that surprised me. So tell me, let's back up 50 or 60 years ago.
Right.
Are you native born in, where are you? What state are you in right now?
Well, I live in Nevada, in the state of Nevada in the United States, but
Okay.
I was born in Chicago, Illinois,
Okay.
back at the end of World War II. The single most significant event in my life was the Vietnam War.
Mm-hmm.
I was drafted into the Army, U.S. Army in 1968. I had an opportunity to become an officer. I became an infantry officer, and then I went to Vietnam in 1969, and I was an infantry platoon leader. That's a military, United States military unit. It's supposed to have, at least back then, it was supposed to have approximately 40 men in it.
Mm-hmm.
In combat, we very seldom went into the field with more than 30 men, and it was the experience of war. It was the experience of basically seeing how a civilization can be really destroyed, which is what the war did to Vietnamese civilization. Now, obviously, the Vietnamese, physically as human beings, they survived it, and they have rebuilt their country.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing, there were times where I would see buildings that had been around for 1,000 years, and then basically reduced to rubble in a matter of seconds because of bombardments and firefights and that sort of thing. And seeing the way that war changes some people,
Mm-hmm.
it brings out both the best and the worst. And ironically, I think it's sort of like, the interesting thing about war is that because every day is about life and death. I mean, literally, it's life or death.
Right.
Your sense of time becomes very, very short. So that every day, every 24 hours that you get through is a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I was going to, in a bully pulpit, and I was going to give a message to the world, first of all, war is stupid. War is absolutely stupid. I mean, one of the things I've come to realize is I don't think there's ever been a conflict in human history that at some point could not have been avoided.
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever been a war that at some point could not have been avoided. But I think we are human beings, we're predatory animals. And what you see that happens in war is that we have a veneer of civilization that, in terms of our manners and all that sort of thing, But when you put people into a situation where their survival, I mean, and I truly mean their absolute physical and psychological survival is at stake, many people, if I don't, I know that all people don't revert to barbarism, but I think many people revert to barbarism, and our predatory nature really comes out. There's a reason that human beings are at the top of the food chain, other than for bacteria and viruses. But I really learned to appreciate civilization. I very much learned to appreciate American culture, political culture, and social culture. And that was a major thing for me, because 1968 was sort of in the middle of the civil rights movement here in the United States. And okay, you can see I'm an African American male, and I can honestly say that part of what I learned in the Vietnam War was our conflicts here in the United States are a family squabble. It's a family squabble. It's not a life or death conflict. And that when you look at our history over the course of the last couple of hundred years, the United States has been very, very good at evolving into a more humane society. Obviously, we're a long way from having that process finished. And my commitment, my personal commitment that came out of the war was, one, I will never again harm or kill anyone who's not done something to me personally or my family or friends that warrant a lethal response. I am determined to be a peacemaker. I'm personally determined to be a peacemaker. I want to be a bridge between people and not cause people to be in conflict with each other. I think I have some ability to do that. I see that, unfortunately, we still, as a country and as a society, I still think we haven't learned about how stupid using war is to try to resolve our economic and political objectives. I don't pretend that I'm going to be the one to solve that problem, but I don't intend to contribute to it either. I would rather be a peacemaker. And see, one of the things that I think is wonderful, like with the exchanges you and I are having, is that, can you imagine 40 years ago, 50 years ago, basically, can you imagine in the 1930s that if human beings, if Europeans and Americans and Asians had the benefit of the internet so that people could communicate despite what our governments might try to do to keep us from communicating, I think that it would have been far less likely that we would have descended into World War II if there had been the internet. I mean, even with the conflicts that are going on right now in the Middle East, it's very fascinating that I know of a number of instances, both in the Middle East and say for also like in the United Kingdom, the conflict between the Protestants, the Catholics in Ireland, where mothers in Northern Ireland on either sides of the divide, and mothers in the Middle East on the either side of the divide came together despite the efforts of their governments to basically tell their governments, stop killing our sons. These conflicts must stop. So I think that and certainly like you're younger than I am, and I think that you're going to live to see humanity moving in a far more humane direction than has happened in my lifetime. Now, there are a lot of people who will be very cynical about it, but I frankly think I'm very hopeful. I'm very, very hopeful, because my experience has been when ordinary people have the opportunity to actually talk to each other and meet each other and deal with each other face to face. I saw this in Vietnam. There were two instances that happened to me in Vietnam when I was as an infantry platoon leader that really caused me to think about this. One instance was when we actually helped to deliver a baby in a village that was in what I call a contested area. That basically we had every reason to believe when we went in there. We're infantry soldiers. We were sitting there on a search and destroy mission. We were looking for people to kill. Americans haven't wrapped their minds around it, but that's what search and destroy was all about. That's what body count was. It was kill as many people as you could.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
frankly, I think it's the only reason we didn't kill more people than we did is because the average American soldier is not a Nazi. I mean, our
Yeah.
orientation, even when we were basically ordered to basically kill and destroy at the slightest hint of any opposition, we didn't do it.
Yeah.
We did not. We were not genocidal. We did not commit genocide. There were some instances where genocidal acts were committed, but our orientation was not just to kill indiscriminately. Even though I
Okay,
think
Clifton, let me jump in here for a moment now. That's kind of a foundation. I was born in 1968, so as you were
you were a baby.
learning, yeah, as you were learning about the world, I was just coming into the world. Here
Right,
we are, 46 years later,
right.
meeting face to face electronically, and so you have a vast foundation of life experiences, and just I could hear that passion, that desire in your 71 years of wisdom. You've come to some conclusions. Now, I want to fast forward to that where
Right,
we met when we were at the Experts Academy.
right.
You obviously have a passion and a desire to spread a word, a message. What is your why? Why are you doing what you're doing now? Why not sit down in Florida and just sit at the dock and fish for the remainder of your life? What are you doing, and why are you doing it?
Okay, here's what it comes down to. I want to change the leadership paradigm in the United States. Maybe this could include the basically the Western industrialized world, but certainly in the United States. Right now in the United States, we have a leadership crisis.
Well, thank you very much for that, Clifton. You have so much to share. In 71 years, you haven't given up. You are a peacemaker, a bridge between people. I want to encourage you to continue your passion, your desire to make this a better place. Have a great week, and we'll chat soon.
Raymond MAASKE reminds us that we have been given the gift of life. The limitations we face are usually those we place in front of ourselves. What did you sell your life for? Did you get what you expected? Be inspired, encouraged, and reminded to live life like you stole it, not sold it.